My name is Dennien. I'm running for Division 3 in the local government elections in March. I was born in Cairns. I spent quite a bit of my childhood in New South Wales, but was lucky enough to come back to Queensland when I came up here selling horses and was offered an apprenticeship as a jockey in Wondai. I loved that period of my life. I've been a fanatical horse person for a very long time. I had my 4 children here in Wondai Hospital. I've been involved in community organisations, P&C, Pony Club, the Equestrian Group. I've been on the board of the Horse Council for 6 years. I have a small farm just on the edge of town, a beautiful farm with wonderful soil and probably too many horses and not enough cattle at the moment. So. I strongly believe in good governance and fairness to people. I believe in our passion for our community, and I think it's time that I took a frontline stance in this. I stand with the community on this issue. There was a public meeting that I attended, the Kingaroy Concerned Citizens Group, a very well attended meeting where people put their points of view very succinctly and very passionately. I believe that this mine is just way too close to Kingaroy. I love the idea of more industry in our area, but I don't believe this mine will get up. I was very interested in Deb Fecklington's statistics of less than 1% of proposed mines get up. I think after the processes have followed, this mine probably won't go ahead, and I'll be certainly happy if it doesn't. I believe that we need to do everything in our power to encourage and support the businesses that we have and to allow other businesses and enterprise to come to our region. I believe that we need to support local businesses to encourage expansion, to focus on the industries that we do so well: tourism, farming, the B&Bs. We have so much in this region to offer, and we need to encourage and support those people that are doing it. I think this is a wonderful place to live. We have so much to offer here. We have beautiful scenery, wonderful community, wineries, the Bunny Mountains, our peanuts, the basics. We have everything that anybody could ever want. I think possibly the only negative we have at the moment is that some of our towns are looking just a little bit tired. Nanango now looks beautiful. Wondai's looked lovely for some time. Our small communities work so hard to keep their towns beautiful. I think perhaps Kingaroy needs a little boost along, and to encourage and foster that tourism and those people that work so hard at it. I think that's so important. I think we are so blessed to have the Bunny Mountains right at our doorstep. I also have a motorbike, and when we organise rides, we try to avoid that bit of road because it's not so much fun. I think that's a really important thing that we need to focus on. We need to allow tourists to come to the Bunny Mountains, and that's a very important traffic way. So that's something I'd like to follow up and definitely have in the next budget. I actually don't know very much about the Weir, apart from the fact that it is the town's water supply, I believe. I'm not sure why it's locked. I'm sure there's valid reasons for that. I've heard that it's a beautiful place. I think that the next council should investigate that. We're very blessed to have 2 wonderful dams in our region that are great tourist attractions, and perhaps Nanango Weir could be one of those. I think this region is absolutely beautiful. There isn't a great deal we can do about changing the region and making it any better than it already is, except perhaps a facelift for some of our towns. I think that all we need to do is get the message out there, let people know how wonderful it is, let them realise how accessible it is, and then they will come here and they will spend their money here, which is great. We have the Bunny Mountains, we have wonderful wineries, we have farm stays, B&Bs, race meetings, sporting events, the local dams. There's more than 5. I don't know the statistics for local crime rates. I wouldn't imagine they are very different to any other community of our size. I believe that we should support the endeavours of our local police force, the local community organisations that look after people who are at risk, and continue to support those people in any way that we possibly can at council. Drugs are a huge problem in Australia. That's why we have a task force set by the federal government. I believe that we should support our local police in their endeavours to clean this problem up. It's massive, it's serious, and we need to take as much care as we can of our community. Every region has a problem with domestic violence. Domestic violence has no boundaries. I believe that we need to support our organisations, our community, our police in continuing to fight this battle. There's more than a woman a week dies in Australia from domestic violence. It's a very serious issue and we need to continue to combat it. I certainly hope that we don't have any more burden on our ratepayers. But in saying that, I've been surprised speaking to the community about how many people are really passionate about wanting to keep this private hospital. Once we lose this hospital, we won't get it back. I also am lucky enough to work with my Meals on Wheels work with the people who are in this industry. I spoke last week to a fellow who runs a small community private hospital. They'd actually considered putting a tender in for this hospital, but they're in the process of expanding their hospital. He thinks that a business run correctly can more than pay for itself. So I'm very interested to follow this up and to see what our consultant tells us about the hospital, and I certainly hope that it continues to deliver a service to our region. I'd like to really encourage the state and federal governments to put more funding into the hospital in our region, and I would like Queensland Health to prioritise our area. We need upgrades to our hospital. It's tired, it's old, it's not coping, and it needs lots of work done on it. I think this question relates to the private hospital and the specialists that may come back when we get that up and running again. There are different models, including a hospital, including a day surgery. I've talked to people, one of the local doctors who is very involved in this, and they are absolutely sure that those specialists are quite happy to come back. So I think if we can support this, I'm sure those specialists will come back to Kingaroy, and we need them. This is an incredibly serious issue. We need to foster as much as we can services who work in this area, give them every opportunity to receive funding. The mental health statistics are horrendous. It's the biggest killer of people 15 to 44. It's a massive problem in rural communities, our older men. It's just a tragedy. And we need to provide everything we can to support our mental health services in the region. They do a wonderful job and they deserve our support. I only have my perspective on this issue. I think that alcohol is a massive issue that's a problem in many communities, and I think that we should do everything we can to ensure that it is looked after as carefully as possible. I think we need to, as I've said before, encourage our wonderful not-for-profit organisations to continue caring for our community. I think we need to work very closely with our state and federal governments and our community organisations to provide as much support as we can. While there's one person affected by domestic violence, we're not doing enough. We need to ensure council is running efficiently, and we also need to chase up the federal government and state government for any funds that are allocated to us, especially the ones that we're missing out on. I think we need to prioritise things a little better and definitely be more frugal in our handling of money. Under the Freedom of Information, people can access anything they need to. It's just a matter of allowing them and giving them that access. I'd be more than happy to help anybody who wants to look at those statistics because they are available. and they should be available. So we'll follow that up if anybody ever wants to talk to me about it. I believe our council should be transparent, and I also believe that it is. We are allowed access to any information that there is. You've just got to make sure that you go there, talk to the people about it, and ask those questions. Follow up anything that you're concerned about and get the answers. There is quite a great deal of breakdown on what the rates are spent on. It's available on the website. It's just a matter of finding it. So if anybody would like a hand at accessing that information, I'm more than happy to help. I think council should always look for more ways to be efficient, to spend money properly, and to prioritise any jobs that they have to do. I would very much like to abolish the road levy, but since the federal government has taken away the financial assistance grant, we need to find that money from somewhere. Hopefully we can follow that up and we can get that grant back, because we need it. Our roads need a lot of repair. They're in very poor condition and it's a major priority. I think the council needs to provide more efficient and effective services to all of their ratepayers. I live on a dirt road. I understand what it's like. I believe the council has specialist staff to work out how to make roads. I think that we should encourage them and allow them to do their job. Our roads are much more trafficked than they used to be, and I'm sure our staff are doing a great job of trying to work within their boundaries and continue to provide us with roads that are really good quality, given our budget. Reducing congestion and improving infrastructure is always important for council. I will continue to follow this up if I'm lucky enough to be elected. Maintenance of areas that are owned by council, such as the roadsides, is the council's responsibility. If there are areas that you're not sure about, council have staff that you can ask those specific questions of. So if you're not sure about the area in your region, ring the council, have a chat to them, or ring me and I'll follow it up for you. From the information I've found from the council website, our total budget for the 15-16 roads infrastructure is approximately $14.4 million. I think it's important that the council prioritise the road needs, and I think it's also important that we communicate that to our ratepayers and to our residents. I'm not sure how the budget is allocated. I'm quite sure there would be a prioritisation tool that the council use, and I'm interested to find out how that happens. I'm not sure how many of these activities are outsourced, and I'm not sure how many are done by our council staff. I think that that's something that the people in the council work out, and they do it with the best of intentions in spending our money wisely, not having a large workforce sitting there and employing people who are contractors when they need them, when those jobs become apparent. So I'm sure that they're trying really hard to work that out. I'm not sure how much of this work is done by council employees and equipment. I know that we have some contractors. You see them on the roads. I think they do a great job, as do the council people that we employ. I believe that we really need to look at the processes that are followed, because the outcomes to residents at the moment aren't always good, and we need to make sure that that improves. I think education is the key to everything. When you educate people, you give them a life. And having CQU coming to our region would be just wonderful. It would be a massive advantage for our children our young people, it would be so much easier for them to study from here. Even though quite a bit of the content is online, to actually have a facility here would be just a massive boost to our area. We certainly need to follow this up with the Central Queensland University. We have a wonderful TAFE, we need to continue to support that. We have quite a few private organisations who provide specialist training for young people, so we need to continue to support those. We are definitely going towards a solar-powered lifestyle. I have solar power at my farm. It's a wonderful way to go, and those roof spaces need solar power. With the technology that's now becoming quite readily available, the new battery systems, that's going to be the way of the future. I think we should listen to the experts on this question, and we also need to speak to our community. I think renewable energy should always be considered in the development of a community. As long as it's cost effective, that's the way we need to go. I think this is a really serious question that everybody needs to consider. It's going to be brought to the people soon. I think you need to speak to people about it, to consider how you feel about it, and to think that we're a wonderful country. We're very young. We have an Aboriginal community here who are still with us. I'm not a constitutional lawyer. I believe that we should leave this to people who understand what they're doing. I don't think it's enacted at the moment. I don't think it's relevant. But I also know that to change it takes a referendum, a very expensive referendum, and I think we have much more important things on the agenda. In saying that, I'm sure that education on this is important and that we should consider what people have to say on it. I think that education and awareness around what the Indigenous people of Australia have brought to us, what they can bring to us, is really important. I think we have great programs here to encourage Indigenous people to become just the same as us, which they are. They were here first, they're part of us, we're part of them. There should be no differences. And I think we have wonderful organisations that are bridging gaps all the time. We need to support those people and to encourage them in their endeavours. I think council should use every sort of technology available to them. It's a way to reach people. It's not just because it's new, it's because it's effective. I think everyone's interaction with council is really important, and I'm surely going to look for ways that we can make that easier, make it more streamlined, and let people feel that they have a voice and they can access any information they need. I think that we can play a part in continuing to indicate to people that we have black spots in this area, that there's lots of places our mobile technology doesn't work, and to encourage our federal governments and our telecommunication companies to make it better for us. I think the council probably goes quite paperless at the moment. I'm sure there's plenty of emails, etc., that fly around council. There's still a need for some of the documents to be printed on paper. I know I like reading things on paper better than I like reading emails, but nevertheless, in the future, we need to be really aware that we need to use less paper and definitely go with a bit more of a modern technology. I don't currently have any strong political affiliations. I believe in fairness and I believe in government that talks to each other and talks about issues. I've worked for 12 and a half years for Queensland Meals on Wheels, a wonderful opportunity to speak to people and to be a conduit between people on the ground and government and understand legislation and work out where it fits with people. I also have been very involved in a lot of community organisations, in Pony Club, in the equestrian group, on the board of the Queensland Horse Council for 6 years. I'm still a regional panel member for Pony Club. I was in PNC, I was in the Kindy committee quite some time ago now. I think I'm very well prepared for this. I think governance is the thing that I'm really passionate about. Good governance is so important, and I think that I can manage to do this job really well. I believe that there are processes to be followed with this. I think that we should perhaps just look at keeping in wages at CPI for the time being. We've got a lot of things to spend our money on apart from councillors' wages. I do at the moment. I don't think you can ever adequately compensate people, some of the councillors, for the work that they do. I interact quite a lot with some of our local councillors. They're amazing. They do an incredible amount of work. We're just looking at fairness. We're looking at what it should be, and I believe that it's quite fine at the moment. I do think that this is perceived corruption. I think in the past there have been enormous problems with corruption, but then a lot of that may be hearsay as well. I think that our councillors are very open, very honest, and there are processes in place to make sure that that's the way they stay. I really think you should lead by example. I truly believe that everybody's equal and that everybody deserves the same opportunity that we have. We're blessed to be born in Australia. If we're not born in Australia, that makes no difference where you come from, as long as you're given the opportunities that we all take for granted. Workplace health and safety is a responsibility of everybody. I think there's a lot of people around that we can speak to about the best way to look after our community in any place that the council has anything to do with. Work health safety is there for a really good reason. It keeps people safe. We need to get that message across to as many people as we possibly can and make sure that we all understand how to keep each other and ourselves safe.